Welcome to my channel. My name is Annie Kamai and welcome to Akamai Chats. Okay, so I have a very different video that I wanted to do today, and it is about island mentality. So I am a Hawaiian woman, Native Hawaiian, Chinese, Portuguese, and I am from the island of Oahu in Hawaii. That's where I'm from. And I've lived there for almost my whole entire life. 58 years I lived there before I moved to the island of Las Vegas. So last night was New Year's Eve. My cousin, who is from California, never lived in Hawaii, he invited me to a New Year's Eve party at the MGM. So I went down there early so that I could grab my parking, and because parking is kind of limited, especially New Year's Eve. I grabbed my parking early, and then we went to go vala'au and talk story to kill some time, because I got there like 4 hours before the party came. And then so we were chit-chatting, and he was asking me like, oh, so how's the dating life? And I'm like, I don't want to talk about it. It's just boring. And I said, I am looking for a unicorn. He's like, what do you mean? I am looking for something that really doesn't exist here in the Aina of Las Vegas. So what does that mean? I am an island girl, and I have island mentality. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but I want to explain it to you because it's really hard to articulate. It's really hard to put into words what it means to be from an island. Okay. So most of the time in all my videos, I'm speaking my English, proper English, but today is just gonna like buckle loose and just whatever's. Okay. So hang on. All right. So yeah, I was trying to explain to him what it is that I'm like, I can't find what I want here, because culture is very, very important to me. And what do you mean by culture? And I'm like, I don't resonate with, like, sorry, I'm just gonna be like straight. Okay. If you don't like it, you can bounce. But I don't resonate with the white culture. It's not that it's bad or anything. It's just not me. I'm a Hawaiian woman, and the Hawaiian culture is very important to me. And I'll explain to you what that means. And he's like, oh, what about like, the Puerto Rican or Black people? Or like, I'm like, it's all fine there, but I don't resonate with those types of cultures. I'm an island girl. And I'll tell you about my sister. So she's an Uber driver, and she was chatting with one of her passengers one day. And this is not the first time this happened to her. Okay. So she's chatting with her passenger, and the lady goes, she's like, you kind of look white, but you're not white, are you? And she looks like me. I'm like, I'm not like pasty or anything, but this is my winter color. Okay, boys and girls. So she was like, yeah, you look white, but I know you're not. And she's like, oh, I'm from Hawaii. And she goes, I knew it, because this lady is from the Virgin Islands. And as soon as they made that island connection, they were talking about what they have in common. And what islanders have in common that these people from this big land of America, they don't get. It's not that, oh, you just live on an island. It's not just about where you live. It's about the culture that's created when you live on an island. Everybody is intricately connected. Okay. So everybody on an island, like I know that where I'm from, and I'm sure like her in the Virgin Islands is the same thing. Everybody is like, instead of 6 degrees of separation, it's more like 2 or 3. So you either have worked with somebody before, or you're related to everybody, or that's your auntie's cousin's husband's sister, so everybody is like connected, and everybody knows everybody. Ergo, you got to be good. Okay. You gotta have a good reputation, because if you don't, then it gets around very quickly. So you have to be trustworthy. You have to be honest, and you have to treat people kindly and with respect. The one thing that I have heard and learned being here on the mainland, I've been in Vegas for 6 years. One thing that I've heard before is like, Hawaii people are very kind. And it's because it's not like because you have to be kind. It is just in our DNA to treat each other with kindness and respect. What a concept, right? And so you got to treat people kindly, and you never know who you know. So I'll give you a couple examples about how connected we are. So we used to live in Eva Beach. My son was in high school, and he got his first car. And so he would get up and go to school. He was still in high school. So, and I worked in downtown, and it takes 2 hours to get from Ever Beach to Honolulu. Okay. I live on an island, and the traffic is hella terrible. So I would leave for work at like 6:30 so that I could get to work by 8:30. And my son went to school in Pearl City, which was about, like a half an hour drive. And I have one of my coworkers also lives in Ever Beach, and she catches the bus. So I get to my office, and she's like, "Hey, you talked to your son yet?" And I said, "Why? He doesn't usually call me when he goes to school. Why, what's up?" And she said, I was on a bus, and he was pulled over by the cop. I was like, "What?" And she said, "Yeah. So he's pulled over by the cop. You've been asked your son when you get home." So when I got home, I'm like, "Oh, hi, boy. How was your day?" He's like, "Oh, it was fine." I said, "You do anything interesting today?" "No, it's just regular." I'm like, "Oh, really? You never get pulled over by the cops?" And he's like, "How do you have eyes everywhere on this island?" And it's because you have eyes. Like, if you make good connections with people, you have a lot of friends, you know a lot of people, you cannot be naughty. Okay, so that's just one small example. What was my other example? Um, Shoots. Now I gotta edit my video. Anyway, I'll get back to it. Um, So anyway, yeah, so you gotta be nice. Oh, here it is. It just popped into my head. So when I was working in Hawaii, I was working for a media company, and we had advertising agencies were some of our clients. And my boss assigned me to this one agency, and the lady's name was Mary. And amongst the other media people, she had a reputation of being kind of like the dragon lady. And so I was like, "Oh, great, she's gonna give me the dragon lady." So I go to visit this lady, and she was an older woman. She was older than me. Oh, for heaven's sakes, hold on. What are you doing? Okay, so where was I? I was talking about Mary. Okay, so yeah, so she gave me Mary, and I had to go visit her. And at first she was kind of standoffish, like, like I had heard she was kind of cold. Um and so we got to talking story, and I don't know how we got on this subject, but come to find out, when Mary was a little girl, my grandma lived next door to them. And my grandma was an old Portuguese lady, and she loved to do her gardening, and she had mango trees and papaya trees, and she had Hawaiian oranges, and she had all kind of herbs and stuff. She loved her gardening, and she used to take them mangoes and mango season, and then she used to always take them papaya. She would always go over and share her fruits with them. So after that, we became like fast friends, and she gave me a lot of media buys, and she was just so nice to me. And my boss was like, "How come Mary loves you so much?" I said, "Because she knows my grandma." And so that is an example of, you never know who you're going to know. So you always have to be good, you always have to be kind, you always have to be respectful. And this is part of island culture. And then so that's part of it, right? Just the whole connection and respect and everything like that. But then, like, as islanders, like a Hawaiian woman, our language, our music, and our dance is intricately entwined. And it's the language is part of the culture, just like the Japanese culture. Okay, so I'm planning a trip to go to Okinawa sometime this year, and I want to like learn some. I know a few Japanese phrases, but I want to know more so that I'm not going to be this gaijin that comes over there and expects everybody to speak English, because they don't. So I'm learning, and in this app that I'm learning, it's a Japanese specific app. It's not like Babbel where you learn any kind, but this is specifically Japanese. And you learn about the culture first, because they're saying that the language is a huge part of the culture, and vice versa. So you got to learn about the culture so you can understand the language. And Hawaiian is the same. It's exactly the same. So there's that, right? So it's part, the Hawaiian person and the Hawaiian culture, language, dance, it's all connected. And then on top of that, as a Hawaiian, as a native Hawaiian woman, my uhane, my spirit, is I'm from that land. I'm connected to the Aina, the physical land. So that's where my ancestors are. Their bones are still in the Aina there. So I'm connected to my land. I go home about 4 times a year, not because I'm like rich or anything, but it's because it's important to me to go back and connect with my Aina, because I go home and I walk around on the dirt and on the sand with my bare feet. So they call it grounding today, but it's connecting with your Aina, because your spirit and your physical being connecting with that land where your ancestors are from is a very cathartic experience. So I highly recommend, with whatever culture, racial background you have, I highly recommend that you go back, you find where your motherland is from, you find where your ancestors are from, and you go there and you take your shoes off and you walk on the dirt, you walk on the grass, you walk on that land where your ancestors came from, and you are going to find a very spiritual experience. Like, I'm not even kidding. I'm very serious about doing that, because it will give you a sense of belonging. Nobody here in the US, except for Native Americans, except for the tribes that are from here, none of you, this is not your land. We are all renters here. We are all visitors here. This is not our land. So you go back to wherever your ancestors are from and you try it. I challenge you to try that, because again, it's a very spiritual awakening experience. And I bet you will start to find a sense of purpose. A lot of Americans, and because Americans, we're not from here, right? A lot of us are like just like roaming around and like longing to find a sense of purpose. And that is really a huge problem in our American culture today. And that's a story for another day. I digress. So let's get back to the story that I was telling. So go back to your land and connect with it. So that's all a part of what makes me an island woman, is that whole spiritual experience. And so at New Year's Eve, my cousin was asking me about my dating, and I'm like, it's hard to find somebody like me that can understand that. You know what I mean? So he said, and we met this guy who was like from Germany, and he had like a little bit of a German accent, and I was talking to him. He's a business owner, and he supplies like these liners for the trays, to carry the drinks. They get the liner inside. That's his business, is he does that. Then who would have thought, right? I'm gonna do another video on that. And then anyways, so after the party, he was like, so, that guy was pretty good looking. You wouldn't even go out with him. I'm like, no, David, he's not even from here. He's from Germany. They have their own kind of culture, right? And I resonate with people who are like me. And I think if we stop trying to swim upstream and connect with people who are not like you, who are opposites attract. No, honey, opposites do not attract. It's like people who find commonality. That's how you connect. So anyways, so that's what really makes island people what they are. It's not because you are from a small piece of land. It's because there are your culture, your values, your protecting your resources. The trust factor is very important. Man, the connectivity, it's all of that is what makes an island person. And yeah, so that's what this video is all about, is trying to explain what it's like to be from an island. It's not that you're from this 60-mile radius plot of land. That's not what it's about. Okay. It's about everything. And that's what makes me uniquely unique. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. My next video is coming up is about goals and, setting your intention for 2025, because today is the 1st. And so that's what that new video is going to be like. So as soon as I have a chance to edit it and upload it, you'll see it, and I'll probably link it in the description box. Okay, thanks, guys. I appreciate you watching all the way to the end. I will see you again next time. Aloha. Shoots, brother. See you.